Hi, I'm Juliet McGuire and welcome back to another episode of How to Buy a Used Car, which is exclusive to Cars.co.za's YouTube channel. Now the Audi A3, this was all the rage when I was just out of varsity, which was back in the 1800s, let's just say. I used to take my brother's second gen model and drive around pretending like I was some really successful, famous person. Meanwhile, my City Golf was parked back at my parents' house where I was living. Anyways, I digress. In 2012, the third generation Audi A3 launched. And at the time, the C-segment family hatchbacks were still very much in vogue, mind you. People weren't buying crossovers and SUVs like they are today. So this 5-door premium had shot up to the top of the segment. It looked good, it had a high quality interior, and it offered an array of engines. Now, some people felt that maybe the closely related Golf 7 offered better value, but this A3 was still far more desirable. Like I said, it had a really fancy interior. It looked good, it had badge appeal, and of course it also came in the 5-cylinder RS3 version, that Sportback. My goodness, I still think that's a winner today. And also, in 2014, this won World Car of the Year, edging out the Mazda 3 as well as the original BMW 4 Series. So it had a lot of street cred.
What's the car with Cars.co.za? Say afzet to Andre Durkee Oosthuizen. You'll find him in his Bakuzi, the hot spot of the Vrystaat summer. Lekker. Now think of a car, any car. Yes, we have it. Cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you.
This Gen A3 came in just about every body shape. You had the 5-door Sportback, you had the 4-door sedan, the 3-door hatch, and the 2-door cabriolet. Most variants were front-wheel drive. It was only the high-powered variants like the S and RS models that came with Audi's all-wheel drive quattro system. The 3-door version arrived in South Africa in November 2012, with the 5-door Sportback arriving about a year later. Now, the S3 Quattro arrived with its 2-litre engine, but it was detuned because South Africa is classified as a hot climate. The S3 Sportback arrived a while later, and interestingly, that came standard with a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, whereas the 3-door version had originally only come with a 6-speed manual. Fans of Audi's 5-cylinder engine had to wait till the end of 2015 for the RS3 Sportback to arrive. It had the turbocharged 2.5-litre engine that developed 270 kilowatts of power and 465 newton-meters of torque. Power was sent to all 4 wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. By November 2016, the Audi A3 lineup had been facelifted. It now had a few exterior styling details, and of course you could get the optional Audi virtual cockpit. And there was a new lineup of engines, which included the 1-litre TFSI, the 1.4-litre TFSI, 2-litre TDI, and the 2-litre TFSI. Now, they also did away with that 6-speed dual-clutch transmission in favor of the 7-speed dual-clutch. And do you remember that 2-litre that was detuned? Well, that now came with a full-fat 228 kilowatts of power and 400 newton-meters of torque. Now let's kick off with the strengths and weaknesses. First, with the strengths. Number 1, fit and finish. Now, we got this car from Getworth and it is about 5 years old. And oh my goodness, it is in pristine condition. And that is testament to the high quality materials that the A3 was built with. It might not be the most beautiful fascia, but if you are a prospective buyer of a used Audi A3, that's what you're going to appreciate. You want something that is built well, that is sturdy, and is going to last. Strength number 2, which is overall practicality. Now, the A3 Sportback was the most versatile body shape. You had loads of space for passengers and had a big boot as well. And if you put the rear seats down, you had a huge amount of utility space. But I think one of my favorite things is the fact that it still had all the buttons over here. It had this rotary dial, which unfortunately we had to say goodbye to in favor of a touchscreen, which we don't have in this model because this has the electric one. Hey. I thought that was gonna happen quicker. But it's still cool. Hey. Number 3, ride and handling. Now, prospective buyers in this segment who valued dynamic driving over anything else would have probably gone for the rear-wheel driven BMW 1 Series. But that's not to say that this Audi A3 was a dud by any means. Look, it had pretty predictable handling and the steering was, if a little bit numb, very accurate. In addition, comfort levels were really good, but bear in mind if there's an S-Line package, it had the larger alloy wheels and the low profile rubber and of course the sport suspension. And that means a few more bumps, quite a bit more road noise, and so you're trading in comfort for looks really. But you're gonna have to drive it to see how much it bothers you. Now, as much as I looked very excited about this earlier, there have been a few customers who've complained about it rattling and creaking, especially if you go over bumps. But it's not a huge thing to worry about and actually can be remedied, but it is worth noting, especially when you take the car on a test drive. Just take note of it. Now, unfortunately, we do have to speak about some of the weaknesses. Number 1 is the leaking water pump housing. Now, some versions of the 3rd Gen A3 had the housing of the pump and the thermostat in a plastic covering. And this led to sort of some earlier problems, which led to a big leak of the coolant, which, if left unchecked, would mean an overheated engine. Not a good thing. But it was specific to the 1.8 litre and the 2 litre TFSI and the S3. Now, bear in mind that any Audi model or Volkswagen model that had these engines suffered similar problems. Number 2, a clogged DPF, which is a diesel particulate filter. Now, the 1.6 litre and 2 litre TDI engines were not immune to getting clogged, especially if they were used on short journeys. They also used a timing belt and not a chain, so those need to be checked regularly. And just remember that the 2 litre was the E189 engine, which was at the center of the Dieselgate scandal. But nothing was actually done in South Africa about it, so maybe don't worry about that too much. Number 4, Haldex failure on some early S3 models. Now, some of those S3 models were prone to diff failure. This is because the Haldex pump failure would result in a lack of drive to the rear axle. So routine maintenance is really needed here. When it comes to the pick of the range, we suggest the 1.4 litre TFSI engine, post-facelifted of course. That comes with 110 kilowatts of power and 250 Newton meters of torque, which even in today's standards is pretty great. It also is a fuel-efficient engine, and that's thanks to Audi's cylinder-on-demand technology. Now, just take note that we're not talking about that problematic engine that you found in the Golf 6 or the pre-facelift Polo 5 GTI or the original A1. Regardless of the engine choice, we do recommend a post-facelifted model. Obviously, you've got more kit, you've got that 12.3-inch Audi virtual cockpit, and more fuel-efficient engines. This is, of course, if your budget allows for it. When it comes to the performance variants, we again suggest the post-facelifted version of the S3. That is that 228 kilowatt model, the updated one, because it's not detuned and it boasts a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. The same goes for the RS3. Hit up a post-facelifted model. Here is a word on resale value, and I'm popping a graph up on the screen right now that will explain what I'm saying. Now, according to Getworth data, the Audi A3 doesn't hold its value quite like its rivals, like the BMW 1 Series or the Mercedes-Benz A-Class or the Golf. Now, this isn't actually a bad thing, despite what you might be thinking, because what this means is it's actually maybe better value for money because you're going to get it cheaper. And it is still an excellent car for the very reasons that I've explained in this video. But thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more of how to buy a used car exclusive to Cars.co.za's YouTube channel.
Think of a car, any car. Yes, Cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you.